I guess we can start. So, yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Yeah, a big round of applause to you and to Miss Shiloh for having me. I really appreciate it.
We appreciate it.
Somebody told us you were good. You better be.
That doesn't make you nervous.
Well, anyway, that's funny. So, I'm kind of nervous. Anyway, I'm bringing some new things to you from last time. Not all new, because it's only been like a month and a half or something. So, my rate of, but I try to bring some new things. But I'm still doing this program that I think I've told you this story before, that I still do want to be a violinist. Many advantages, or as we call it here, we call it the fiddle, right? It's more portable, and it just, the sound of the violin can be, not always, but it can be really incredible, mellow, exactly. And I so love these. I'm sort of an old recordings of all kinds of music, but an old recordings junkie, and the old violinists like Jascha Heifetz and Nathan Milstein and Misha Elman and all the greats. That to me is just, so I've been so enamored with this that I got to the point where I wanted to switch to violin. And my wife told me, if you do that, you're going to lose your mind. You're going to have to practice 15 hours a day, and So I said, I'm from New Jersey originally, so forget about it. Just forget about it. So the plan B would be to play violin repertoire on the piano, and that's what I'm doing. I thought it would just be one program, but it's turning into, because some of these pieces are for the piano, but you never hear it on the piano. You always hear it on the violin. Some of them are for the voice. Like the first one I'm going to play is actually it's almost a popular song, but people play it on the violin all the time. I guess I'll get into that first piece. This is something I've never done here before, and it's called The Song of the Seashore, and it's by a Japanese composer, Narita Tamezo. And he lived about 100 years ago, born in 1890 something, died in 1940 something. My exact dates are little, but that's okay, ballpark. And he actually was a violinist. I saw his picture, he was playing the violin. But this is a vocal song, it's almost a folk song. And I read the text, it's just beautiful, it's heartbreaking. It's a poem of some guy walking on the beach on the ocean, remembering his childhood and talking about that. And I think that in Japan, my wife's from Japan, and my father-in-law is visiting, he's there now, so surrounded by Japanese culture, and she was telling me that everyone knows this piece in Japan, so you better do it. Right, so I'll start with this. Okay. Here it is. And I add my own improv to it because it's sort of, there's no piano version of it. No, don't have to be shy. I was warning them, I don't want to blow out your eardrums, but you're welcome to sit there, but it might get, so that's, I love that melody. It's so beautiful. The next piece, also very melodic and mellow, before getting into the crazier things, is a piece by Felix Mendelssohn. And this is called, I think I also haven't done this for you yet. This is called May Breezes. And it's a piano piece, but Fritz Kreisler arranged it for the fiddle, the violin. And I normally hear it in that version, but that's why I decided to learn it. Now, Mendelssohn was, according to one of my teachers, he was more Mozartian than Mozart himself. And it's true, because Mozart, and I don't mean this in any way to criticize Mozart, he's one of the best geniuses ever, Western civilization, all civilization. But Daddy Mozart, Leopold, wrote a lot of his early music, or at least helped him heavily. Mendelssohn, that's not the case. He was really, truly, I wasn't there, but I've heard that he actually really wrote prolifically at like age 4 or 5 or something crazy like that. I don't know, I could hardly use a spoon at that age, but still, this piece is it's typical Mendelssohn because I heard someone say this about child prodigies, that there's many children who have this kind of the ability to play very fast or something, but that's not a child prodigy. Child prodigy is someone like Yehudi Menuhin on the violin, who is so little, but they have such depth of communication that you feel that they're a mature adult. And that's Mendelssohn. And this piece, Mendelssohn, I think he wears his heart on his sleeve, so to speak. It's so honest and direct. And this is from a set of piano pieces called Songs Without Words, so it kind of ties into the last one, which was literally a song for voice. What else to say? Mendelssohn, he lived a tragically short life. 39, I think he died at, and he had a tough life. He suffered discrimination being Jewish in Germany at that time, what was Germany. And so just horrible. But anyway, one of the best, and somewhat underrated, I think, as a composer. I think we tends to be a bit overlooked. getting into some little crazier music, and I see more people. This is Gavotte by Johann Sebastian Bach. It's from the third partita for violin solo. And here it's arranged for piano by Sergei Rachmaninoff. And what I love about this, so I think I may have mentioned last time that musical arrangement, which is pretty much what this program has to do with. Musical arrangement, it's like literary translation, that a good translation is not word for word. It's not Google Translate. It's reimagined and rethought. So of course Rachmaninoff recomposed this piece, and over the course of the piece, it becomes more and more Rachmaninoff. I mean, you hear like, that's Russian bells.
Right.
It starts like Bach. Famous piece. So, well, I think I can maybe humanize the composers a little. We tend to be scared of them because we think that they're these statues of people. Not to say they're not great, but Bach, well, I'll tell you some silly things about him and then some serious things. So the silly things is that, did you know Bach, I was just thinking about this driving here. Do you know Bach was arrested once and thrown in jail? Yeah, he pulled a knife on an oboe player at a rehearsal. It's a true story, yeah. There was a rehearsal, something happened, I don't know, the guy, some musicologist found a hotel bill that Bach had, and he had consumed copious amounts of fried pork and beer. I think he would have fit in the South in some way very well. Other things about Bach, I mean, he wrote a cantata about coffee. You can all, many of us relate to that. But the serious thing about Bach is that even though this is a gavotte, is a secular Baroque dance originally from France,
Right.
but there's a theory, and I don't know if it's true, but it's an interesting theory. And this has to do with the solo cello suites by Bach. Some scholar said that he sees it as each movement of the suites is representing a scene from the Bible, or even from Jesus' life, or something very interesting. Because Bach was a church musician, he was very religious. But would it be is it possible to turn off the music? Sorry, I don't mean to be picky.
Is Alexa talking?
Is it Alexa? Alexa?
Alexa off.
Just say, let's stop the music.
Oh, Alexa,
I'm
stop.
allowed to say it.
Oh, maybe you maybe Alexa knows you more than knows you.
Alexa off.
Yeah. Sorry, I just realized I was like, that's not Bach. Yeah.
He's doing advertising.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. So anyway, Rachmaninoff was Russian, and he was a 6.5-foot tall guy, Russian guy with a shaved head. Stravinsky, I think, said he looked like an escaped convict. Yeah, and I have a quick story about him that my grandfather, I think I told this, but it's worth telling again. It's true. My grandfather on my dad's side, who was American, he was an usher at a concert series in Richmond, Virginia in the 30s. My grandfather's no longer here, sadly. And it was Rachmaninoff performing. I mean, can you imagine? And nowadays, we stuck with people like me, but back then, Rachmaninoff. So, so he was told by his boss, don't let anyone through these doors, I guess, like that. And so my grandfather was standing guard, and someone tried to open the doors. And then, there was a tug of war between my grandfather and this person. And then wham, the door was kicked open. It was Rachmaninoff. And he spoke to my grandfather. I tell people that Rachmaninoff spoke to my grandfather. You know what he said? He said, get out of my way. Yeah. Get out of my way. So I have a personal connection with the history of music. So here is the Bach Gavotte arranged by Rachmaninoff. Some people call it, to make it more clear, Bachmaninoff, because I think the corny jokes are getting,
That's a good one.
play some Paganini. I think I've done a few of these for you, maybe at different times. So I think I'll do 3. They're really crazy. That's where your eardrums might. But so Paganini was controversial. You know, he lived from 1760 to 1840, I think, or 1830 somewhere. And again, I think that those dates are wrong. So sorry, but he was probably more like a rock star of today than a classical musician at the time. I mean, even the way he looked, there's some paintings of him was creepy. I mean, he had this very gaunt, thin, narrow face, and he played. I mean, some people believed he was possessed at the time. It was a real thing. He ran into some problems with that. For the record, I don't think he was, but there were people who thought that. So now Paganini was a huge inspiration for Franz Liszt, and he arranged these. These are his Grand Etudes de Paganini. And Liszt, as a young man, was living in Paris in his 20s. Not a bad place to be, of course, but he was at a low point in his life, Liszt. He was quite depressed, he was stuck, and he heard Paganini, and it just blew him away. And Liszt locked himself in a room to practice. And at that period, he arranged Paganini's violin music to translate the virtuosity that Paganini, played with into the piano. So this first one is called Tremolo. It's built from a combination of 2 solo violin caprices. And to me, it's a very spooky, creepy. It's good for Halloween's coming up, So for some reason, I have this image of it. Once I went to Italy in May, and I'd been to Italy before, to Tuscany, and I thought, oh, Italy is all sunshine and spaghetti and beauty. Well, it was May, and it was gray, and it was cold and damp and miserable. And so we went to this cathedral somewhere in Tuscany, and it was so creepy. And that's this piece for me. I don't know why. It just is. So here is the Paganini Liszt Busoni. I'm playing Ferruccio Busoni's version of. So it's double pasteurization, if you will. So. I was more concerned about the front row people. But I said, yeah, Paganini was, yeah. Now next is a piece, this one is based on the very first of the 24 caprices of Paganini. And it's quite different in character, so much so, when I was learning it, I couldn't get an image, I couldn't get a story. For me, music is storytelling, that's it. And, but I didn't get it. I thought it was an exercise. I played it, the opening. So I asked my wife, who's a pianist, and she's not a fan of Paganini. I said, what do you hear? And she said, oh, simple. Maybe I mentioned this last time. She said, oh, we have this kitten, you know.
Playing.
Yeah, exactly. He has this very obnoxious toy. It's like a merry-go-round, and it goes around, not too quickly, but it goes around, and he whacks it, and it comes around. It's got like a ball attached to it. And that's the piece. It's literally the arpeggios that go up and down. You see, it goes a little slowly. I'll play up, down, up, whack, whack, whack. He does this all day and all night, and you see these bags under my eyes. So, but in all seriousness, I think that Paganini had a great sense of humor in music, and music can have a sense of humor. It's not all. But he, by the way, had a great sense of humor too. Just that piece is maybe not so funny. So anyway, here is. By the way, in the future, Liszt arranged all of Beethoven's symphonies for piano solo.
Wow.
Tricky stuff, but that's one thing I'd like to tackle, and hopefully one day,
Yes.
you'll see me slog through that. Okay, but here is, what was I going to put? Oh yeah, Paganini, sorry. Yeah. The kitten piece. Liszt did not change it very much from the original. And on the violin, it's the bow does it. But on the piano, it's like this. And the left hand is like fishing with a spear. So it's just crazy. So the next one, oh boy, this one, I've done it here before. This is La Campanella. It's really wild. And then I'll have some more mellow, reflective things. I do that too. And this is the last of the Paganinis I'm going to play. It's drawn from the last movement of the second violin concerto. Excuse me. And it's a very famous melody. You've probably heard probably me do it too. And what Liszt, I'm playing Busoni's version of Liszt. Busoni changed it quite a bit too. Well, Liszt did several different versions of the same piece. He wasn't happy with it, I don't know. And then Busoni changed it completely, but unlike the last one, it's quite heavily changed from the original. And, you know, campanella means little bell, so you can hear it up in the air. Okay, well, good luck to us all. So, crazy.
Workout.
Yeah, it's good. It's like the treadmill, you know, it's good. So, get my 10,000 finger steps. The next one is much more, the next few things I'm going to do are much more introverted. You know, music is not as one. Leon Fleischer, you know, he's a great pianist. He passed away several years ago. He said, he was talking to some young pianists. He said, it ain't all about circus tricks. That's so true. So the next piece is a well-known folk tune, Oh Danny Boy.
Oh, yeah.
And but here it's arranged in a classical piano version by the very oddball Australian Percy Granger. I won't get into specifics, but if you have a computer or encyclopedia, you can look him up. He was a great musician, but I don't know, and not always in the best way. But I love the arrangement. So violinists play this a lot, and there's a recording of Ivry Gitlis, who's my big hero. He played this beautifully. It's also, well, you know, the performers I love probably the most are Ivry Gitlis violin, and then on the voice, Mahalia Jackson. And I think, and I'm going to play some gospel at the end as I usually do. So if classical is not your cup of tea, well, you know, there's some Southern gospel. So at any rate, yeah, this is Oh Danny Boy with a lot of fluff around it, musical fluff. So here it is. Okay. Very different mood here. So. Play another one that I've done here before. This is the not so much heard Serenade Espagnole by Cécile Chaminade, a great French composer. Yeah, I know we have some French people in the audience. So this piece, she wrote it originally as Chanson Espagnole. There's a song, and because I don't sing or in French, then I'm not going to do that version. Fritz Kreisler arranged it for violin. And Chaminade noticed how popular it became, and so she made the solo piano version of the piece. So here it is, Serenade Espagnole. And the French composers love Spanish music. Debussy wrote some Spanish-themed pieces. One of the preludes is La Puerta del Vino, is a Spanish, those are not the right notes, but it's a Spanish theme. Bizet's Carmen, Georges Bizet. I mean, he was French, but it's a Spanish opera. So there's that fascination there. And it has the flamenco flair to this piece. So. I'm going to share is a little odd. And if you like, well, I like hot sauce. I don't know if you do. So you're going to hear some, things. But as far as, this is by Bela Bartok. As far as Bartok goes, it's not really that dissonant. So I'm just to give you that. Because Bartok is well known as being a 20th century composer. He wrote some music that was, you could call modernist, but or avant-garde. But this is not. This is based on folk song, because Bartok, along with his friend Kodály, another Hungarian composer, they went out into the villages of Eastern Europe, and they collected on an early tape recorder people singing. Folk music. We still have folk music, but at that time, even then, it was disappearing quickly as the culture was changing, as the world was changing. And what Bartok did was, someone asked me, did he plagiarize? He did not. All of these pieces, I'm going to play the Romanian folk dances by Bartok. They're all his original melodies, and they're all his original content, but based on what he heard, and with the flavor of folk music. And these are very short pieces. They're like little snapshots of village life, I think. And Romania, Romanian music is a it's a melting pot of klezmer music, of gypsy music. It's all there, or it was there. And Bartok reflects this just beautifully, amazingly. I love this music. But like I said, it's a little, there's some weird moments there. Bartok was not only a great composer, he was a great man, and I have a couple stories about him. One was he lived in a brownstone building, I was told, near where I lived when I lived in New York, and I'd always walk by there and sort of, I mean, not at the same time, he died in 1941, I think. But Bartok, would have nothing to do with the Nazis, and he left Europe, he came to the US, and he was offered a job teaching composition at Juilliard, and he turned it down because he said, you cannot teach how to compose. Talk about sticking to your principles. He had a family, and he did odd jobs sorting books at the Columbia Library, University, and he had leukemia at the end. And this is, it's really sad, but I had a professor we were doing a composition class, and this one person was complaining they couldn't find time to compose. They didn't feel good. He said, did you know that Bartok wrote his third piano concerto from his sickbed? I mean, but it makes, to give you an even more of an image of Bartok, his son Peter was a war hero. They moved here in the 30s to New York, and Peter served in World War II. He was in Iwo Jima. He was a decorated war hero. So coming from Hungary to the U.S., and it's just, he was an amazing person, and very kind and humble as well. So I don't know if Paganini was, but anyway, the titles, they're very, very short. The first one is called Stick Game. The second one is called Peasant Costume, and it's very klezmery. The next one is called Standing Still. It's also good for Halloween. It's a little creepy. I play it and I feel like my head should start turning slowly. But it's really eerie, and it's amazing how he creates that feeling. The next one is so beautiful. It's called the Mountain Horn Song. And you hear the klezmer inflection there. I love that. And then the next one is called Romanian Garden Gate. The last two are really, feisty. Incidentally, that scale, which Bartok liked, it's a mode called the Lydian mode, music theory thing. But the easy way to remember it is if you like TV shows, the Simpsons theme is in the Lydian mode. Anyway. So I would tell that to students, and then the last one is called Little One or Little Child. And so I play them all straight through, and like I said, there's a little Texas Pete in there, so you be ready. Yeah. Thank you. Couple more classical, maybe one or two. So back to the 19th century, here's one, I may have done it before. This is the Saint-Saëns Etude en forme de valse, which means study in the form of a waltz. It's a sort of a waltz, and it's a sort of a not a waltz. How does this have to do with the violin? Well, also that last one, Bartók arranged it for violin. So it exists as a piano and a violin piece. This etude is originally for piano, but the Belgian violinist and composer Eugene Izay arranged it for piano and orchestra. And it's wonderful. And that's usually how one hears it. So Saint-Saëns was like Mendelssohn and Mozart. He was a child prodigy. And here's a story about him. He was 10 years old. Forgive me if I told this already last time, but maybe I'll make it funnier. I don't know. But he was 10 years old and he gave his first recital in Paris. And at the end he said to the audience, which of the 32 Beethoven sonatas would you like me to play? I have them all memorized. And what a brat to say that. No, it's such, anyway, but he was brilliant, and he was not only a musician, he was an archaeologist, a mathematician, a philosopher, an animal rights activist. The guy was just incredible. And I think that he's a little bit not in style today. And there's a reason that in some circles, in some academic circles, because he's considered a little bit superficial. He ain't superficial. He was, especially this piece, full of humor. And humor is sometimes mistaken for superficiality in classical music, I think. And this piece is very salon, like salon paintings in the 19th century. It's almost a caricature. I think it's a caricature of salon. And as a result, it would work perfectly for either a silent film background or a Bugs Bunny or Tom and Jerry. But just, you'll see what I mean. So. I might do maybe one more classical and then a couple short gospels and then we'll call it.
Sure.
So I lose track of time, but just, it's a real joy to play for you, thanks, because it's a two-way street, you know, and I have nerves, I don't know if it shows, but you help me with them, because you're so nice. So here is the Serenade by Schubert, arranged by Franz Liszt. Just one of my favorite pieces ever. prepared a couple short gospel things, couple by request. So here is Why Me Lord by Chris Christopherson. It's sort of a slightly country gospel, because gospel, like jazz, there's, or classical, what does it mean? There's such a range of styles, and these three could not be more different than the ones that I'm going to do. So. Something funny is that my mother's from Russia, but my dad is from Southeast Virginia, going back 10 generations. And when I was growing up in New Jersey, he was always telling me, I was playing classical music. He said, well, that's good, but when are you ever going to play some real music, like the stuff from Nashville? And, maybe I should play that for him. But anyway, so here is, I'm going to do an abbreviated version of, because I got a request for this, Oh Happy Day. It's a Southern gospel. It's actually a spiritual that was reworked in 1967 with some funkier harmonies in there. So I'll see what I can do with it. overstay my welcome. It's getting late, but I do want to close with something really upbeat. This is a very old-time barnstormer Southern gospel piece by Albert E. Brumley called "Jesus Hold My Hand," in a very honky-tonk little Jerry Lee Lewis style. I just want to close with that, something upbeat and positive. And thank you so much for coming. This will be
You come back.
Oh, I will. Thank you very much. If you want to sign, I have the book, so, I'll get it. If you haven't, let's see here. If it wasn't too loud, I could just put it louder.
Thank you so much. A lot of people around here need the boots.
Thank you. I need it too. We all need it. I
Around
recently.
the world. Well, you did
Yeah.
those names. You know what I mean?
I hope so, yeah.
I really.
All the words
Well, we hard.
and it goes both ways.
I want to tell you one thing quick. Without knowing us, my uncle, I know this. So I saw a picture of Rob Butler. I said,
I played in the band, so
you know him? He said, oh yeah, my uncle was on the good sales.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I played with
When he was at the orchestra,
Yeah, I don't
Rob
know.
Butler played the piano. He was working, he learned that. So he actually knew, and he talked to him for an hour. And they told me so the stories.
I'd love to know what they play.
I wish I don't know.
I don't think you told me.
No, my uncle played So I ran for Cincinnati College and orchestra for many years. Then he started his own band. But anyway, thank you from my heart. How long does it take you? Guys off the way home. Yeah, oh, absolutely. How long does it take you to write a song?
It depends. If it's, sometimes it's just clicks. And then sometimes I can't explain why it'll take a long time. If you ask me about Savant, I'm no Savant. I stay up late, practicing, celebrating, trying to go into music.
Can you remember all those
If you want to stay in touch, put your email down. I'm making a mailing list to send out YouTube. No spam, so I'll leave this maybe out here. If anyone's, oh yes, especially this piano is very heavy. So I'm really had to use, I even had to use my feet. Usually I don't move around that much when the keys are loud. But this piano is like, you have to do it big. So it's more, if you just do this, it's not enough. You gotta use your arm. So that's pretty much it. My fingers are not tired.
Do you have any special therapy that you do to keep everything working?
No, I don't, but it's probably just some of the strings. You don't play like that, you play like
I know this stuff.
yeah,
I know.
so, especially on that thing.
We're in southeastern Virginia. Oh, yeah. Very. I have lots of ancestry on coastal Virginia.
You probably have some, because I Cincinnati, coastal Virginia.
Oh, you did? I can't get away with it.
No, it's great, I love it. My
Thanks so
grandfather,
very much.
you say like post and boat.
Yeah. It sneaks out sometimes.
Yeah.
Out sometimes.
Yeah, well, it's great. I love it.
Great play, great play. When would you play in college hall?
No, I don't, this is better. You're much friendlier. You know?
Real bunch of, oh, yes, ma'am. We're
This
not,
is a better, I'd rather play for you all the time.
we're not as stiff and bold,
Right, you're just
stuck up.
exactly.
Good, nice people. Thank you, and enjoy it. Yes, sir.
I'll be back regularly.
You come back.
You come back always with a new program.
Well, that wasn't all new, but some of it was, yeah.
I'm Philip, I wrote you the note.
Yes, oh, Philip, I did record it. You're fine, and I will send you.
Wonderful, thank you. Thanks for coming back.
I love coming here.
Makes me want to go.
You already know. Yeah, I'll make you
want
one
to
of
go practice.
Oh, yeah, it makes me want to go practice. I'll probably have to tonight, so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Oh, you like, oh, good.
Well, I can't wait to get on the phone and call him. I call him and talk to him every time you come. Please come.
I will.
You make life worth living here.
Hey, how are you?
It's wonderful to hear you, and I have requested more chairs. I don't understand why they don't think you have a big audience.
Phenomenal. I'll tell you what, it was fantastic. We thoroughly enjoyed it. We really did.
We don't come down to too many things. Besides, you look so nice and you wear real shoes.
Oh, real food. Well, I have to polish them.
Oh, yeah, that's
I'm
okay.
lazy, brother. Yeah, whole thing. Real shoes, I like that. Yeah, I'm gonna use that.
Oh, you can use that.
I'm gonna advertise myself. Say I play the piano and most importantly,
I wear real shoes.
For our son's graduation from Appalachian State, he's in technical theater.
Oh,
We gave him a tuxedo and dark navy suit because of opening day, and he has to dress up.
of course.
We thoroughly enjoyed it. And I hope we're gonna invite you back. We'll put down our
Shiloh, I'm coming back in like December. I think I'm gonna be coming back next year. She wants me every month. So we have to learn more new things. I don't want to bore you.
No, but you did just fine. We weren't bored at all, I'll tell you that.
We just wonder how much music is in your head.
Well, not enough.
Oh, it's quite a bit.
It's a real thing. I love you all. It's just the best thing.
We just said, please bring him back as soon as possible.
How are you? Oh, yeah, of course.
I was just coming over to tell you how incredibly talented you are. You really, you're just amazing. Did you always play the piano as a child? Yeah. That's your thing. And that's a great thing.
Oh, yeah. It is. It's uplifting.
But aside from playing the piano, did you,
Oh, yeah, no, well,
yeah.
And I don't, now I do this, I do concerts, like this big and small. And I used to teach, I taught at several universities, not for me. But now I do it. So,
I think you are really terrific. My name is Susie.
Susie, nice, if you want to put your email down, I'll send you some YouTubes if you like.
Oh, some YouTubes? I don't know if I get them.
Oh, let me turn this on. Actually, this is going to be it. Oops.